Bathing is super important for your bird. Want to know why and how to offer it? That's the topic of today's video. Hello fellow bird nerds, welcome back to another video. My name is Sophie and I am a certified professional bird trainer. Today we are talking all about our wet chickens. Our parrots often really love to bathe, and if they don't, I'm going to offer you some tips on how to encourage it, because a lot of parrots like to bathe in different ways. So we're covering today why it's important, how to offer it to your bird, some do's and don'ts and tips and tricks to make sure that your bird is having a really enjoyable bathing spa-like experience. So the first most obvious reason why birds like to bathe is to keep themselves clean. It is a very efficient way of keeping their feathers nice and clean, so they do like to bathe quite frequently, depending on the bird, and we'll get into that later. Offering bathing opportunities to our birds also allows them to get good skin hydration as well, which means that their skin is going to be nice and healthy. After your bird has had their wash, it often evokes a preening response, so they're going to take care of all of their feathers, make sure they are in tip-top condition, deal with any of those feather casings and pin feathers, so it does encourage more preening. You'll often find as well that many birds will actually chill out a little bit after they've had a wash and are more relaxed, which is really nice to see. They're quite content afterwards, so that can be a good way of trying to elicit calm as well if they're in the mood for a bath. Another silly reason to offer your birds a bath is because many of them just really enjoy it. Our guys love to completely soak the kitchen. I tend to have my shower at the same time as them because they drench me as well. They have a wonderful time soaking everything in sight, and you can just see that they're really into it when they are. So it is really fun to actually watch them enjoy themselves and have a different enrichment experience. Every parrot is going to have its own preferred way of bathing, so there are a whole variety of ways that you can offer it. Now it can be something as simple as just having their bowl of water in their cage. For example, our Pickles, who is our pineapple turquoise green chick conure, she only really likes to bathe in her water bowl, which is quite silly. It's a bit too small really to have a proper wash in, but that is her preferred method, so we're not going to judge. So sometimes your bird may just really like to bathe in their water bowl in the cage, so just make sure if they do that, just dump the old water and then pop in some nice fresh stuff. Many people also like to wash their birds in their actual shower, and we have this really cool, really big shower perch, which was very kindly sent to us by Northern Parrots. It's got suction cups there, 3 of them, so that they can attach nicely to the wall of the shower. We got the medium one, so there's enough room for our pairs of birds to sit together. They do smaller ones and larger ones and things like that. I think these are really cool because a lot of birds do like to bathe in the shower experience, or you can have your bird in a steamy bathroom, which can be really great for their respiratory system and again their skin and feather health as well. So shower perches are really fun. They're a great different showering experience, and you can try that if you haven't tried it with your birds before. But what I like about these as well is they are window perches as well, and our guys love to look out of the window, so we pop this on the window as well. We kind of chop and change where we put it, and they have a great time looking out the window, shouting at the magpies outside and defending their kingdom. So this is a really fun way of offering bathing to your bird. Another popular way of giving your bird a wash is with a spray bottle. Again, Northern Parrots has sent us this cool spray bottle. This is a nice little size for a small bird. They also do big ones for big birds. But spray bottles are quite popular as long as you use them in the right way and you are giving choice to your bird, which we'll talk about later. But a lot of birds really like to be sprayed. For example, our cockatiels, when they do want a wash, this is their preferred method. Sometimes they'll wash in their water bowls, but typically speaking, they much prefer to be sprayed with a spray bottle, so we can cover all of their beautiful wing feathers and tail feathers and things like that. You can get find mist sprays, which are in my Amazon store. If your bird doesn't like certain spray bottles, you can experiment, and you can also do lots of descents work as well. But this is a nice handy one to have for washing your birds. One of my favourite ways to watch a bird bathe is usually with budgies or other smaller birds, and that is when you offer them like hung up wet leafy greens or herbs or even fresh flowers, as long as they're all safe, and just spraying them with the spray bottle like from Northern Parrots, and then you just pop it in there. This is a way that many birds like budgies will actually bathe in the wild. They will go and they'll rub up against all these wet leaves that are out and about in the wild, and it is so cute to see. It's one of my favourite ways to watch a bird bathe. Similar way of doing that is to have a bowl on a flat surface and then put some like leafy greens in there, or some microgreens or little bits of herbs, and they just love splashing around in their sort of like soup almost. It's like they've had like a bath bomb in there. They've got all these floating maybe petals as well and little leaves and things, and they have a great time in there, and I think it's really adorable. Another very novel way of offering bathing to your birds is actually getting these really cool like children's play sinks. I'll put a picture of one here, and you can get these again usually on Amazon, and you just fill it up with water. I think they run on batteries, and it just comes out of the tap like a fake kitchen sink, and a lot of birds really like those. I think they're quite novel and fun. Many birds may not like them, but again, it's worth a try for different enrichment. But in this household, the most popular way that our birds like to have a wash is in the kitchen, under the kitchen tap. We had to replace our kitchen tap a little while ago, and I specifically bought one with like almost a shower feature, so that the birds can have like a little sort of mini shower instead of one stream of water, which, you know, is a bit extra, but you know, it's the bird life. So they have their little shower, and then we have this like lasagna dish that we balance on the sink, and they have a wonderful time. Charlie is like a duck. He just like dives underwater and he rolls over roly-polies. Olive has a great time. They all like wash their feet under the tap. It's so silly, and it is one of my favourite parts of the day when they're in the mood for a wash, because it is absolutely adorable to watch. But as I said, me in the kitchen, we both get completely soaked because we have to participate. There's water everywhere, but it's all part of the fun. If you'd like to see more ways that your bird can bathe, or different opportunities you can offer them, I do have an older video on how to bathe your bird, so I recommend checking that one out after this one, with loads of clips from many of my followers and viewers. They submitted them in, and I sort of compiled them all together so that you could see different birds bathing in different ways. So that's a good watch, so I'll pop that at the end as well if you'd like to see that. Now I've spoken about some of the ways that you should bathe your birds, I'm going to talk about some of the ways not to, because there are a few don'ts when it comes to bathing your bird. And the first one that drives me crazy is, please don't force your bird to have a bath. I know we hear things online that they should bathe in this amount of time, and we know they need to bathe, so I must bathe them. But if your bird is not voluntarily participating in it, they may develop a fear of water, a fear of the spray bottle, a fear of different places in the house. It is really, really bad to force your bird to wash. And the most common one I see it on all the platforms of people putting short form and long form content, is they'll have their bird on a shower perch or on the base of the shower, running the shower, and their bird is just sat there really skinny, eyes shut, head in the air. If your bird is not displaying a bathing response, which is wings out and fluffing up and making a big mess and flapping and everything, that's a bathing response. That's what we want to see when they come in contact with water. If they are sat there really still, really skinny, with their kind of head in the sky and their eyes shut, 9 times out of 10 your bird is not having a good time. They are not having a wash. They are tolerating it because they feel like they have to, or they can't escape, or they don't know how to escape. And that can sometimes actually lead to aspiration, because they're under the stream of water, they can't or don't know how to get away, or don't feel they can get away, and then that water ends up going into their nares and into their respiratory system. That is very, very dangerous. We do not want that happening. So if you start to offer your bird a bath and they are like, do you know what, I'm not into it, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't want it, that's fine. Don't carry on. We want to respect our bird's choices and wishes. If they don't want to participate, that is completely fine. If you're watching this and thinking, Sophie, my bird doesn't bathe, I don't know how to help it to bathe, I've tried all the things, they don't want to do it. Again, in that old video that I mentioned, that I will leave at the top and in the end and at the bottom, I show you how you can train your bird to enjoy being bathed. You can train almost anything with parrots, and training them to actually accept and tolerate and then enjoy bathing is totally doable. So I show you a little sort of training session I did with Olive, reinforcing for bathing responses, and you can do that at home too. So if your bird doesn't like bathing, make sure you watch that video next, because it's going to show you how you can train them that, you know, bathing is fun and they'll want to participate in it. Another consideration is the temperature of the water. We don't want to have it really, really, really cold, and we don't want to have it really hot either. Kind of room temperature-ish, a little bit cold is fine, a little bit warmer is fine too, but if it's too cold for you to kind of have your hand under, and if it's too hot, then your bird is going to be pretty uncomfortable. So just be sensible with it. They can bathe in, you know, room temperature or even cooler water. Slightly warmer water is fine, but you know, if you're anything like me, sometimes you like a really hot shower, that's not going to be appropriate for your bird to be under, because it's going to be too hot for them. So make sure that you're being sensible with the temperature of the water when you are bathing your bird. Some people struggle with what to actually bathe their birds with. Do they use water? Do they use the sprays that you can buy in stores and things and online? Do you use natural things? My personal preference and recommendation when you are washing your bird is to use water. They don't need to have anything else added. They can just have plain, normal, bog standard water. Water is completely fine. I would not recommend buying any of those sprays marketed as like spray on your bird because it's good for their feathers, or anything artificial, anything with kind of synthetic chemicals in, anything with a advertised fragrance, anything with soaps. We do not want any of that touching our birds' feathers because it's going to ruin them. Once a feather is ruined, you can't unruin it. Water is completely fine to offer your bird. There are two exceptions, however. Number one, I know a lot of people like bird tricks, for example, they have their like aloe spray things. You can use that, but I wouldn't use that every time that I bathe my bird, in my personal opinion. I like to offer water, and again, it's about choice as well. You could offer both and see which one they prefer, but a little bit of aloe is not going to do your bird any harm. The other thing as well that we do sometimes recommend is brewing up avian teas. Again, you can get those from Polly's Natural Parrot Boutique or Biodiversity Bird Blends. You can brew up a tea, dilute it slightly, and add that to water and a spray bottle, and your bird can bathe in that. And as we probably know, if your bird likes to bathe in their water dish, sometimes they will make a soup out of their food and then go and bathe in it anyway. So they can be a bit silly like that. But I would highly recommend avoiding any commercial synthetic soap-like fragrance-like sprays, because they are not going to be good for your birds. Could potentially be toxic as well. So just stick to all things natural. If you've got to this point in the video, you're probably thinking, okay, that's fine, so I'm going to offer my bird bathing this way, they might like it, great. But the big question that we see online, I get asked all the time, is how often should I bathe my bird? People get quite worried about it. I get frantic DMs like, my bird hasn't bathed in X amount of days, what do I do? So the truth of the matter is, there is no like set amount of time that your bird needs to bathe in. So some birds will like to bathe frequently and some not. And I have that in my own flock here. So for example, the cockatiels, chip and fish, we call them the stinky brothers because they don't like to bathe as frequently. And again, you'll get that sometimes with species traits. For example, with cockatiels who come from a more drier environment at times compared to like other species like conures, they may prefer to bathe less frequently based on their biology. Typically with our cockatiels, and again this isn't for every cockatiel, but for our personal setup, we will offer our cockatiels a bath once a week, and if they don't want it, that's fine. Sometimes Chip is the worst out of the two. Fish doesn't mind a bath once a week, but Chip is the stinkiest of brothers, and he can go a month sometimes without wanting to wash, and you know what? That's fine. They have that powdery down in their feathers and stuff to keep their feathers in good condition, so that's fine. With our conures, both the crimson bellies and the green cheeks, they are, I feel like they're part duck, as I said, or part dolphin or something, because they just bathe all the time. We offer baths to them either every day or every other day. And more often than not, they'll take it. Louis, Scampi and Charlie, they are the bathing birds. They will pretty much bathe every time I offer. It's quite funny. They just love water. They love, you know, making a big mess with it all and getting clean. Whereas the other three, they'll usually take it every other time or so. But it really does depend on your individual bird. Again, the important takeaways are, make sure it's consent based, make sure your bird actually wants to participate, and if they don't, that's fine. Try again a different way, or at a different time of day, or a different water temperature. You know, there's lots of different ways that you can encourage your bird to bathe, including training them, as I mentioned in the next video. So there's no right or wrong answer about how often to bathe your bird, but as long as you're offering different opportunities and allowing them to make the choice, then they will eventually have a really fun bathing experience. As I mentioned, if you'd like more inspiration on how to offer bathing in different ways, or if you'd like to learn how to train your bird to enjoy bathing, check it out in the next video. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.